Which are those two main categories? Homeothermic and poikilothermic. In case of human beings, we fall under the category of homeothermic. When we are talking of homeothermic, what does it mean? Warm blooded. But another way of understanding it is can regulate the body temperature. Now the body temperature can be divided into two terms in case of human beings. Okay. First is the core temperature. Another is the shell temperature. What do you mean by shell temperature? What do you mean by shell temperature? Yes, it is a very easy topic and interactive. Okay, but it has a weightage. Good. So, when we are talking of core and shell temperature is the temperature of the skin. Okay, what are the different parts of the skin? Epidermis, dermis, and subcutaneous layer. Okay, we have in this what type of glands present in the skin? Sweat glands. What are the different types of sweat glands? Because one of the important function of the skin, other than the sensory organ, the protection, one of the most important function of skin is the regulation of temperature. So here I am asking, what are the different types of sweat glands present? They are of two types, eccrine and apocrine type of sweat glands. Eccrine and apocrine type of sweat glands. The difference lies, one gets directly opened through the sweat pores. Okay, and another the sweat pore opens through the hair follicles. Okay, the presence of eccrine, apocrine, okay, their anatomical position, their content of the sweat, okay, so it all varies. So there are mainly two types of sweat glands present in the skin, eccrine and apocrine. Okay, that you have to study to understand the mechanism of temperature regulation. Here when we are talking of temperature regulation, in case of human beings, they are homeothermic. Homeothermic means the internal body temperature remains within a very narrow set range. It will always not be a fixed value. It is present between a range. Okay. When we are talking of shell temperature, it is the temperature of the skin. So the outer temperature is the temperature we are talking of the shell, and inner is the core temperature, intracranial, intra-abdominal, intrathoracic. These are the core temperature which is giving the real value. So these are the different terms. You get a question on mechanism of temperature regulation, or in other words, you might get a question on homeostasis. So the best example of homeostasis is temperature regulation mechanism. What is the need for this temperature regulation mechanism? What is the need for this temperature regulatory mechanism in the body? Is there any need? First the question arises, is there any need? Yes. So what is the need? Enzymes efficiently. Each and every enzyme has to be worked under a particular pH and temperature. Today we are more concerned with temperature, so that enzyme has to work in a proper temperature. If the temperature of the body goes below normal, then what will happen? In physiology, there are only two extremes, high or low. So what happens if the temperature goes below the normal range? If it goes below the range, what will happen? There will be decrease in the metabolic rate, and that is going to affect the. If it is increase in the temperature, what is going to happen? There will be problem in the zygomatic activity. Okay. Slowly we'll try to understand it, क्योंकि टॉपिक तो ऐसा लगता है जैसे हम सबको आता है, but when it comes to it becomes a bit difficult. And on each slide you have 3 MCQs. तो जो हम स्लाइड देखेंगे उसको आप इस हिसाब से देखने का, उसके 3 MCQs बनेंगे. Okay. So normal body temperature, when we are talking of body temperature or the core body temperature, it also varies with the area or the part which we are taking the temperature. Okay. Pre-COVID, everybody was familiar with the clinical thermometer, I think. Okay. And post-COVID, we are facing a different type of infrared thermometers. Okay. When we were using the clinical thermometers, they can be placed orally in the axilla, okay, but the most abstruse places were the rectal temperature, so they were not feasible. The only place where the oral temperature, where the clinical temperature can be taken was oral, or in some cases axillary temperature. The most authentic core temperature can be taken through the rectal area only. Okay. Now the oral temperature, when we are talking in degree and in Fahrenheit. Okay. When we are talking of degree, it is 36 to 37.5 degrees centigrade. When we are talking of Fahrenheit, it is 97.5 to 99 Fahrenheit. Clear? तो एक MCQ ये आ जाता है, what is the normal range of body temperature? Normal body temperature in degree and Fahrenheit. Next is axillary temperature, slightly lower than the oral temperature. How much slightly lower? 0.5 in degree centigrade and 1 in Fahrenheit. So that will be the difference between the oral and the axillary temperature. Rectal and pigeon slightly higher, similar 0.5 degree higher or 1 degree Fahrenheit higher. Skin temperature varies with environment. Now you have studied male reproductive system. Yes. So another feature important was the scrotal temperature. Okay, that has to be regulated or maintained at 32 degree centigrade. So each line has a CQ. Shell temperature refers to the temperature of limb and surface layers of trunk. So depending on environment conditions, the shell temperature will be varied. If the environmental temperature is high, that is in summer, the temperature of the skin will vary. It will be more. In case of winter, it will be less. Core temperature refers to the temperature of the deeper body structure, and it is maintained at a constant value. And what is the constant value? What is the constant value? First line ही तो थी अपनी. Constant value has to be maintained. Okay. So in one slide you have 3 MCQs minimum. Okay. And at least an idea regarding short note. If the question comes regarding the core temperature. Okay. So you have to start your answer with the normal value, and then what is core temperature, what is the normal value of the core temperature, and how it is maintained. Okay. The core temperature is slightly more than the oral in rectal, vaginal, these areas. Esophageal temperature taken at heart level is a good index of core temperature. This single line has a MCQ. Okay, the different areas will be given to you, and it will be asked which is the most authentic area where the core temperature can be reached. Okay, so it is at the esophageal temperature taken at the heart. Okay, this is the most authentic or the prominent place where the temperature reading can be taken or read by the receptors. Whether there is body temperature that will be carried by the blood and that will be sensitized by the receptors. It is a homeostatic mechanism, so one has to have a reflex mechanism. Receptor has to be there, the integrated center has to be there, and the efferent pathway has to be there. Clear? Lower lethal temperature is the temperature beyond which the body. So the value of the lower lethal temperature is 26 degrees centigrade. The upper lethal temperature is 43.5 degrees centigrade. So what will happen in both the condition is just an example. In the lower temperatures, it will be resulting into cardiac arrhythmias. What is cardiac arrhythmias? Arrhythmia is irregular rhythm. Okay, because we have covered these topics. Okay, core temperature of 41 degree for prolonged period causes irreversible brain damage. ये बचपन से आपने देखा होगा कि जब भी फीवर होता है, the mother or the father, whoever is there at home, they generally look for the temperature that it should not rise above 101. So we cold जितना अपन कर सकते हैं टेम्परेचर उसको कम करने की कोशिश करते हैं. सबसे पहले अपन कहाँ लगाते हैं? ठीक है, तो उसकी प्रैक्टिकल एप्लीकेशन तो हमें पता है पर उसका कॉज हमें नहीं पता होता है. So core temperature of 41 degree for a prolonged period results into irreversible brain damage. In case of infants, kids, this thermoregulatory mechanism is not developed. So they have to be kept and the temperature has to be maintained, especially in case of younger age group and older age group. Clear? Regulation of body temperature is necessary to ensure the proper functioning of enzymes and for optimal speed of chemical reaction. Factor affecting body temperatures. What is diurnal variation? Last row. Bolo, what do you mean by diurnal variation? डिस्टेंट विजन इज तुम्हारा खुद का डिस्टेंट विजन सही है? नहीं? Read it loud. What do you mean by diurnal variation? What does this line? During a 24-hour cycle, there is variation in the temperature of the body. Now, this variation depends on the profession also. Case of professionals who are doing, okay, working during the day. If the professionals or the working is working the daytime, in the evening at this particular time, the temperature will be more because of the physical activity. The movement, the activity, okay, so heat will be generated more, so the temperature will be more during the evening time, but it will be reversed if the person is working during the night. Okay, so it also depends on the working hours. Diurnal variation. In the morning it is less, in the evening it is more. The reason lies in the working and physical activity of the body. Okay. In infants and old age, temperature regulation is poor. In infants, we have brown fat. Yes. And another reason is they do not have a thermoregulatory mechanism fully developed. So just a crying of a baby will increase his or her body temperature. Just a shower with cold water, it will lower the body temperature. So they are so much sensitive. Okay, their BMR is more, so the temperature is more. In case of old age, it is just the reverse. The BMR decreases, so there will be decrease in the body temperature. In case of females and in case of males, males have testosterone. Okay, that will help us to have more of the heat generated in the body, so the temperature in case of males will be high. तो ये हमें प्रैक्टिकली दिखता ही है, ठीक है ना, विद इन अ फ्रैक्शन ऑफ सेकेंड इनका एंगर, इनका फ्रस्ट्रेशन सब कुछ सामने आ जाता है. और इन केस ऑफ फीमेल्स व्हाट हैव वी हैव अ डिफरेंट नंबर ऑफ hormones present. So during the menstrual phase, the temperature of the female body is less. Which hormone is working during the menstrual phase? Menstrual phase, menstrual cycle का जो first phase होता है ना, menstrual phase 3 to 5 days का, उस particular duration में कौन सा hormone होता है, और फिर FSH है ना, और slowly we are going to the ovulatory phase. Which hormone comes into action is progesterone. Okay, so slowly with the steady cycle of menstrual phases, the temperature starts increasing. Post ovulatory for 24 to 48 hours, the temperature increases. Okay, 0.5 degree centigrade or 1 degree Fahrenheit. Okay, so this is an non-invasive method for ovulation. If during the whole cycle the oral temperature is recorded in the early morning, okay, so slowly it will increase, reach to the post-ovulatory day. Increase in temperature will be how much? 0.5 degree centigrade or 1 degree Fahrenheit. So that is the gender also responsible for variation in core body temperature. But this difference is brought about with the help of hormones. In case of males, it is testosterone. In case of males, increase in temperature is brought about with the help of progesterone. Clear? Heat production and loss depends on the ratio of mass to the body surface area. Food intake especially is responsible for increase in the heat generation. In a specific dynamic action of food, when you read this chapter in your book, you have a term specific dynamic action. For GIT or digestion, what are the different steps? You have to first ingest the food. Second is you have to chew, mastication, okay, then there will be digestion, then there will be absorption. Until and unless the absorption takes place, the digestive system does not complete its work. So for all these steps, the energy has to be needed, okay. So for particular nature of the food, that is carbohydrate, protein, fat, how much amount of energy is required for its final digestion and absorption results to specific dynamic action of food. So it results into duration of, if you remain fasting or starvation for longer, that will change the core body temperature. Okay. Exercise. What is the effect of exercise? Increase. Okay. How much percent of the exercise results into increase in the body temperature? So suppose if you are exercising, okay, so 100% of the exercise effort will result into increase in the body temperature, or only some part of this effort will result into increase in body temperature? Only 25%. Okay, so what is the effect of exercise? Whatever type of exercise you are doing, okay, out of that exercise only 25% of that output will be responsible for increase in body temperature. Okay, rest has to be maintained and regulated in different manners. Clear? How many of you go to gym or do regular exercise? None of you go. पहले कभी गए हो? अच्छा, कभी आप घर पे स्पोर्ट्स खेल के आए हो, बचपन में खेला होगा, खेल हो तो फर्स्ट थिंग व्हाट योर पेरेंट्स से व्हेन यू रिटर्न बैक टू योर होम, पसीना सूखने दो. दे नेवर आस्क फॉर जस्ट वेप इट ऑफ. वो कभी ये नहीं कहेंगे कि इसको टॉवल से क्लीन करो. जस्ट लेट इट ऑफ, ड्राई इट ऑफ, इवेपोरेट इट. ठीक है, तो वो जो इवेपोरेशन होगा ना, दैट विल रिजल्ट इनटू कूलिंग. Once you just clean it off, wipe it off with a towel napkin, it is not going to result into decrease in the body temperature. The sweat has to be evaporated. Okay, so when we go to some gym or some exercise or sport, this is one of the precaution we have to take. Okay, atmospheric condition depends. Okay, whether it is summers, winters, so it will depend resulting into body temperature changes. Piloerection, erection of the body hairs. Okay, then we have clothing which will protect us from the extreme winters and extreme summers. So how the clothing will protect us from extreme summer conditions? This is a misconception among younger generation, you might call, or in some general public, that during summers if we go for sleeveless or lesser clothes, okay, it will be resulting into a comfort zone. That is a misconception. In summers you should have a minimum clothing of a cotton cloth on your sleeves, on your body. Okay, another important factor is, if the summer conditions are there, they are present in the desert area or in the sea area, seaside area or the coastal areas. If it is the coastal areas, what will be the atmosphere? It will be humid. In the desert, it will be dry. So a person can bear a temperature of 45 degrees centigrade in desert area, but cannot bear this temperature in the humid area. Okay, why? Because whatever the sweat is getting formed cannot get evaporated, so the body cannot get cooled down. Temperature दोनों जगहों का same है, but more problematic condition lies in the coastal areas where the humidity is more. So there will be more of the problem. Okay, and this minimum clothing of the cotton protects you from the ultraviolet radiation. क्या क्या आपका स्किन क्या है? शेल टेम्परेचर है. It is also going to gain temperature from the environment, so it has to be protected. Okay, previously the questions were used to come as explain why the temperature in the coastal area is difficult to be tolerated than in the dry desert. High minimum clothing is required for the temperature regulatory mechanism. So these are the questions. तो ये directly और indirectly आप ही, तो ये कहाँ गया? ठीक है? This picture in human, it is the core temperature which is maintained by homeostasis. What do you mean by heat balance? What do you mean by balance? एंजॉयमेंट और स्टडीज में बैलेंस बना के रखना पड़ता है मेडिकोस को. रखना पड़ता है. या नहीं रखना पड़ता? रखना पड़ता है. Once you enter into the college, first 4 or 5 months you are in a aura. Okay, that all of you have been promoted to professor rank. You are all senior doctors. Okay, after first semester, the next level comes and come back to, now you have a balance. ठीक है ना? तो ये बैलेंस जो है ना, वो मेंटेन करना लाइफ में भी जरूरी है और यहाँ पे भी जरूरी है. आपकी बॉडी के अंदर हाइपोथैलेमस है, मेन टेम्परेचर रेगुलेटिंग सेंटर, उसके अंदर एक थर्मोस्टेट सेट हो गया. ठीक है? दिस टेम्परेचर रेंज हैज टू बी मेंटेन्ड. Now it's the role of the body, the different organs, the different structures to maintain it. Now how it will maintain it? It will try to keep a balance. Balance between what? Balance between the heat production and heat loss. What are the different mechanisms by which the body tries to make or generate heat? What are the different mechanisms by which the body tries to lose heat? And this balance has to be maintained for the maintenance of which constant value? Which constant value of temperature? नहीं समझ आया? थर्मोस्टेट के अंदर कौन सी वैल्यू को मेंटेन करना होता है? कौन सा कोर टेम्परेचर है जिसको वैल्यू को मेंटेन करना है? ठीक है ना? और इसको माइंड में रखते हुए हमें डिफरेंट मैकेनिज्म देखने हैं कि किस तरह से टेम्परेचर को अपन मेंटेन कर सकते हैं डिपेंडिंग ऑन द एनवायरमेंटल कंडीशन एंड अदर फैक्टर्स. ओके, mechanism of heat gain or heat production, heat gain from environment. What is the other term for this heat production? Thermogenesis. Genesis is formation. So क्या हो गया इस मोबाइल में? तुम्हारी लाइफ में डिस्ट्रैक्शन ही इतना है कि बैलेंस आ ही नहीं सकता. The various physiological processes which produce heat are: first is the basal metabolic rate or basal metabolic activity. Okay, heat produced by the oxidation of the food. In each and every cell there is reaction which is taking place, which is responsible for generation of energy in the form of ATP. Along with that, the heat is generated. It is taking place as a basal level also, that is in the resting condition also reaction is taking place. रोनित नोट्स बना रहे? नहीं, इतना अच्छा तो नहीं. Muscular activity, heat produced by skeletal muscle is called heat of activity. How the muscles helps in generating heat? हीट जनरेशन हमें कब चाहिए होता है? समर्स में या विंटर्स में? विंटर्स में. विंटर्स के अंदर आपके अंदर के बिहेवियरल चेंजेस में सबसे प्रोमिनेंट बिहेवियरल चेंज क्या होता है? और उससे भी ज्यादा प्रोमिनेंट, उससे भी ज्यादा प्रोमिनेंट एंड ऑब्वियस, there is increase in the basal metabolic rate. So more of the food, more of the ghee, more of the laddus. So that is basal metabolic rate. समर्स में क्या हो जाता है? कम हो जाता है. चाहे आपके सामने कितना भी रख दो, you will not have more than one or half. So that is basal metabolic rate depending on the environmental conditions. Next comes shivering. Okay. Other than the winter environmental conditions, when a person feels or have shivering, भाई आपके एनवायरमेंटल कंडीशन के अलावा भी कभी शिवरिंग होती है? कब होती है? फियर, चलो स्ट्रेस हो गया, और पैथोजेनिक इफेक्ट. व्हाट इज दैट पैथोजेनिक इफेक्ट? दैट इज पायरेक्सिया और फीवर. तो हम उसको इतना वो देंगे, हम केवल जाएंगे उसके फीवर. ठीक है. तो शिवरिंग जो है एक तो एनवायरमेंटल कंडीशन पे डिपेंड कर रही है, और दूसरी किस पे डिपेंड कर रही है? फीवरेज और कंडीशन पे भी डिपेंड कर रही है. ओके. हीट प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय स्केलेटल मसल इज कॉल्ड हीटर. एक्टिविटी इज वेरिएबल. एक्टिविटी इंक्लूड मसल टोन एट रेस्ट. अभी तो कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे, अदर देन मेंटल, यू आर ब्लॉक्ड विद योर मोबाइल, यू आर नॉट डूइंग एनी एक्टिविटी. ओके. यू आर लिसनिंग, वो भी पता नहीं 50% सुन रहे नहीं सुन रहे. ठीक है. तब हीट जनरेटेड हो रही, by which mechanism of body activity includes muscle tone at rest, muscular activity during exercise, resting muscle activity, shivering. Okay. Specific dynamic action of food, non-shivering thermogenesis because of the release of certain hormones. Which are those hormones? Which are those hormones which will result into thermogenesis? सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट कौन सा है? थायरॉक्सिन. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट थायरॉक्सिन. और हार्मोन. ओके. These are the hormones which will be responsible for thermogenesis. Brown fat, especially infants. Heat in the environment by which mechanism? Radiation, conduction and ingestion by taking hot foods or fluids. ठीक है. कितना टाइम हो गया? अब लग रहा है ऐसा कि पक गए. क्या टाइम हो गया? 9:45. What about you go for this biometric? No? चलो इसको खत्म कर लेते हैं. छोटा सा टॉपिक है, फिर हीट लॉस मैकेनिज्म नेक्स्ट में करेंगे. ठीक है. दिस इज बाय रेडिएशन, कंडक्शन. व्हाट डू यू मीन? व्हाट्स द डिफरेंस बिटवीन कंडक्शन? रेडिएशन बताना. कन्वेक्शन के लिए कंटिन्यूस एयर करंट का फ्लो होना जरूरी है. ठीक है. तो जो ये कंडक्शन, रेडिएशन, ये जो मैकेनिज्म है, ठीक है, इनका कुछ कुछ परसेंटेज ही होता है टेम्परेचर रेगुलेशन को कंट्रोल करने में. सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट मैकेनिज्म जो है वो अपन नेक्स्ट क्लास में पढ़ेंगे, पर इनका कुछ कुछ पार्ट है जो कि इसको हेल्प करता है. किसी का 5%, किसी का 10%, किसी का 15%. तो क्वेश्चन जो आता है एमसीक्यू में कि विच इज द मेन फैक्टर विच इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर हीट लॉस और हीट गेन मैकेनिज्म. So you will be given 4 options, out of which you have to take one of the best answer. ठीक है.